Hey guys, welcome to the Steve XM show. We got a very special episode for you tonight. A lot of the people in the VR community have been talking about this game recently, No Man's Sky. So this game came out, I think, back in like 2014. I do believe it was a PS4 exclusive. Am I correct on that? I think it was a PS4 exclusive when it came out. It's now on PC, Xbox, everything. But next Wednesday, the 18th of August, what is that, 2019, it's coming out for VR on several platforms. So I brought in a pro player tonight. He's got 500 plus hours. This is Makaz Gaming from YouTube. Let's take a look at this. So this is some of the gameplay from the VR stuff here. You can see the guy moving his head around. But Makaz Gaming, he's been playing this for like 500 plus hours, so he's going to be able to tell us pretty much everything we want to know. If you guys got some questions for him, put them in the comments or just ask him live. We are live right now, and we'll answer the questions to the best of our ability live. Well, without further ado, here is Makaz Gaming. Welcome, welcome.
Hey, how's it going?
I see you here on your planet here. What planet are we currently on right now?
Well, you see, I called this Nuxton Prime since I'm the one who discovered it.
What is it called?
I actually got to name this planet since I discovered it. Okay. So I kind of named it after myself.
Now, can you rename planets when you find them if they've already been named, or is it once it's named, it's kind of like permanent?
Yeah, once it's named, it's permanent, and everybody can see it, no matter if they're in single player or multiplayer or whatever.
Oh, so there is a single player game mode if you don't want to see other people running around in that.
Yeah.
That's kind of weird, because say someone comes on your planet, and you got your community of people, you got your little base set up. That's something else I want to get into, how the base building goes, but say you got your little base set up, someone comes on your planet single player, can they do anything to your planet, or are there just chances of that so rare that would even happen?
Well, it can be rare, or there's a chance that somebody could stumble across your planet or your system, but unless they're actually joined to your particular session, the changes they make to the planet you are not going to see.
Okay.
They may see your base if you've chosen to upload it, but if you haven't done that, then they'll just see a regular planet just like any other, just named whatever you've called it.
Wow. So it sounds like there's a lot of like behind the scenes kind of options you can turn on or off depending on what you want to do.
Yeah, there's a few.
That's great. You could play the game completely single player. So let's take a look here. I'm going to zoom in on your let's see here. So this is the zoomed in view of what you sent me earlier. This is like the loop of pretty much, is this like your home base, or is this kind of just a random planet you run?
Nope, that's my main base right there.
Oh, that's right. You named the planet when you got there, so then you can just keep building it up. Now, we did get a question from the community here, and guys, if you got anything in chat, throw it in chat. We'll answer your questions live. But I got a couple of questions already. Let's take a look at the first one. So this is from Schmitty18 of Rendered Reality. Rendered Reality does a really good VR podcast as well. His question was, though, can you build a town pretty much? He wants to know, he wants to build up like this town for like all the people on his Discord server, and they want to be able to play together. Do you know if that's going to be a feature, if it already is, or?
Absolutely. Actually, there are many communities who've done that already, and some of them have even built their cities or towns near one of the in-game portals to make it easy to access from anyone in the game.
Oh, something I probably should have mentioned earlier, guys, too, is I want to try to keep this spoiler free. I don't know much about the storyline of No Man's Sky, but we'll keep it as spoiler free as possible. I don't know if there are spoilers. I think there's some kind of end, right? Some kind of end game or something.
Yep, there's definitely some storyline stuff and some
significant
lore in the game.
Yeah, we'll try to stay away from that stuff. So you guys, if you want to play it fresh, no worries. We're not gonna spoil how it ends or anything. But so I would assume then, since it's like, I think the mission is to get to the center of the galaxy. I mean, we should probably describe No Man's Sky for the people that haven't played it yet. That's what I was supposed to do first. So No Man's Sky, for those that don't know, it's pretty much you're in space. You start off on like a planet. This is back when I played it, when it was on PS4, and you're kind of like stranded on the planet. You got to gather resources. You build up a spaceship with like all the material you gather and harvest, and then you leave your first planet. I spent like probably 10 hours, I think. It was at least 4 hours trying to leave the first planet. And then after that's kind of where I stopped playing, to be honest, because it was just overwhelming. But I think your overall end goal for the game is to get to like the center of the galaxy. I don't know what the storyline is behind that, but does that sound correct about what the game is, Makaz?
At a very high level, yes. Although there's discoveries that you'll make along the way which kind of impact how the end game affects you, and that's one of the things I love about it. It can mean something different to everyone who plays it.
Okay, so you can kind of pick and choose what kind of. It's kind of like Elite Dangerous. That's another thing I was going to ask you. Have you ever played Elite Dangerous?
You don't want to know how many hours I have in that game.
All right, so you probably played that more than you played this game, you would say.
Yeah, it's
We got a
1,000,
question
by the
from
way.
Tyler. Oh, you got 1,000 hours on Elite Dangerous.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got like less than 40. So Tyler from YouTube's coming at us live here. He's saying, "Is getting a freighter a tough thing to do?" I have no idea what any of that means. You could probably maybe expand on that a little bit. His question.
The method of actually getting a freighter varies.
So first of all,
Sometimes
what is a
you'll
freighter? Just to ask.
A freighter is kind of like a mobile base. You can set up a different kind of base on the inside with different types of stations and ways to store resources and things. And you can call it to wherever you are,
Really?
basically whenever you want.
So it's kind of like a horse in
So
like
mobile
Skyrim or
base.
something like that. Carry your crap for you and just kind of follow you around. Ooh, rendered reality coming at us from YouTube. We need a freighter. Ha ha ha. So yeah, he's thinking for his home base that he's gonna have to build there, they're gonna need a freighter. But that's only for moving from planet to planet, correct? Oh, we lost Macaz Gaming. So Macaz we did an audio test the other night, and he was having slight technical difficulties with his headset, but we'll work through it. No worries. But are you there, Macaz? Possibly not. So yeah, rendered reality. We need a freighter. I don't know. You might not need a freighter though if you're only trying to stay on the one planet. I mean, technically, I think you could probably just stay on one planet the entire game. Just keep harvesting the material from there. I mean, the planets, if I don't remember correctly, or if I do remember correctly, I think they're rendered pretty massive. Like you could spend days, I think, before you could get from one side or the other on a planet. Let's see if we got our guy here. Macaz, are you there?
Yes, sorry about that. I had a
Are you
bit of an
fine?
internet hiccup.
No, you're cool. You're cool. You were downloading something last time we were doing our test. Oh, that's right. You were uploading your Sean and Tyler both in here. Oh, hold on, I lost my chat. Tyler's been doing some research lately. Yeah, I've watched a couple videos in the past couple days, just trying to kind of get familiarized with what's changed since the last time I played it. I know there's a lot that's changed. So, Macaz, what would you say has been the biggest change overall as far as the game goes? I would just say guess multiplayer if I had to guess. What do you think since it's launched?
Well, the biggest change to multiplayer is actually coming in the next update. But I would have to say probably the biggest change. Well, it kind of started with the Foundation update where they actually introduced base building, the whole way the game is played, and kind of what the goal is for a lot of players. Because there's a number of ways you can play it, like you mentioned. There's different diverse aspects to it, kind of like Elite Dangerous, and you can kind of dive into any one of those aspects and get the most out of it. The Foundation update added base building. They overhauled the whole storyline, and it's been one big update after another. I can't really pick one that was the biggest.
It's really a great time for us VR guys to jump into the game because I was looking into it, and there's like so much history with this game. Like this game was like the biggest hyped thing before it came out, and it was like the biggest letdown. But they've just been constantly updating it, like literally, like every quarter, a year. I think they update it and they add something pretty significant. So it's a great time to get in. There is a code in my description. I don't know how long it's gonna be active if you guys are watching this, but normally the game's like $60. There's a link there for it. It's like $20 if you put the code in. Try it out. I'm not sure if it's gonna work or not, but you can find the game pretty cheap for most of the time. And for $20, I think that's a steal for a VR game. Especially of this like magnitude. We got another question coming at us. A Wild Randolph on Twitch is saying base building, vehicles, undersea are big changes. Okay. So yeah, kind of what you were going back on.
Yeah, they I think the first vehicle they released was just a very basic kind of terrain vehicle, but then they added a whole bunch of others, like a more heavy duty vehicle, almost like a motorcycle, and then this hover car type thing. So, and then they
Okay.
added the submarine in the
Subnautica, baby.
yeah,
Have you played
I forget
Subnautica?
which update that was, but oh yeah, I have.
Yeah, I love that game. I got one question to ask you, and then we'll get to Tyler's question here. Actually, no, we'll go to Tyler's first. This is really good. Macaz, do you think the multiplayer party will be increased from 4 after the coming update? So I guess I didn't even know that. It's 4 players right now. That's the most you can do. Do you think they're going to increase that, or is it just going to be stuck at 4? I don't think
I
they've said
have a
anything yet.
feeling that it's going to be not so much increased as I'm just speculating here, but it sounds like they're going to make the multiplayer kind of ubiquitous. Like everybody who wants to be on multiplayer will be on multiplayer, and if you're on the same planet, you'll just see each other. I don't think there's going to be like a hard cap to that,
Oof.
but I could be wrong.
Yeah, because I would imagine that would start to just the amount of rendering the different players. Like imagine, you both come in with a party of 6. I mean, the game's normally handling 4. Now it's got 12. I mean, or even if it was 4 and 4, 8. I don't imagine. So no more orbs, Tyler's asking from YouTube. Yeah, the orbs, I think that's back when I played it. I remember there was like an article that came out a couple months after the game first released that the first 2 players finally met each other. And when they met on the planet, it was just like 2 orbs. Like it just showed their names or something like that. Or I don't even know if it showed their names. It just showed like an orbital light. And you just knew that was another player.
Yeah, and I'm not even sure if that was in from day one. Like that might have been something they added in like a patch or something, because I don't remember it working right away. I heard that story,
Mm-hmm.
and it kind of went like they were looking for each other. They thought they were in the same place, but they couldn't see any sign of each other, and eventually I think a couple patches came out that made it possible to see that there's somebody else
Oh.
there
So
as
they
an orb.
were on the same planet together. They verified that before it was even like a thing.
Yeah, I guess they hadn't planned for that to happen quite so soon, so
Man,
they
that's
weren't
crazy.
really they didn't have that feature quite fleshed out.
Yeah, that's what amazes me about these games that have procedurally generated like galaxies or semi-realistic ones. I don't know if the Elite Dangerous galaxies modeled after our own, like if it's supposed to be pretty close, but just the chances of meeting someone randomly, like that they're just like when you're playing Elite Dangerous, it's all bots. Like it's got to be all bots because the chances of meeting another player at a random star. I mean, I guess if you're at a starting location, it might be pretty good odds, but once you start going out into the galaxy, like it's so big.
Yeah, and the difference there is everybody kind of starts in the same place in Elite Dangerous. Like you start in the bubble, and most of every important thing is in the bubble, about 300 light years around Earth. So you can usually bump into a player fairly regularly
Okay.
if you're in like open play or something. The difference being in No Man's Sky is you just start on a random planet anywhere in the entire galaxy, and as far as I'm aware, the galaxies in No Man's Sky, because they're procedural,
Hmm.
they're far bigger than the one in Elite Dangerous.
So let me ask you this then: is there a chance that you spawn in with other players? There's a group of players that are one galaxy, then there's a group of players that are another galaxy. Is that some kind of separation that could be possible?
Well, this I'm trying to avoid some spoilers, but
Okay. Yeah.
everybody
Yeah.
does start in the same galaxy, the
Okay.
Euclid galaxy. Um, I'm going to leave it at that
Sure. Sure.
because
Sure. Yeah. No
saying
spoilers
anything
here.
more about it could be spoiler.
No, this is gonna be great. Imagine experiencing whatever the storyline is for the first time in VR. Like, I don't know how this game's gonna run in VR. That's the thing. Like, if it's running on PS4, it's definitely gonna run okay on Rift. But that's what I'm running on CV1. What headset are you using?
I'm using the CV1 as well.
CV1. Great. Great. I
I
recently
can
decided
speak
I'm gonna
for the
invest. Oh, go ahead.
I can speak for the recent performance updates they've been doing. They switched from DirectX to the Vulkan API.
Hmm.
If any of you graphics people are familiar with that,
Yep.
it's much more optimized now than it was before. And for example, in my base, I was getting maybe like 15 to 20 FPS before they updated the API from DirectX, and now
50
I'm
SPS.
almost getting No, 15 to 20.
Ooh, what the heck?
Yeah, and I don't have a small base. That's granted that, but after switching to the experimental branch where they've changed to the Vulkan API, it's so much smoother. It's at least 30, if not almost 60 FPS.
So now that you're
So
mentioning
they are doing
FPS,
something
you gotta
heavy
mention your
optimized.
specs as well.
Prior to a couple weeks ago, I didn't have the greatest graphics card. I had a GTX 970 and an Intel Core i7 2700K, so that's like a second generation Intel i7.
Okay.
But I just upgraded a few weeks ago to a Ryzen 5 3600X and
Ooh.
a 1660 Ti.
Now, what's your frames per second now? Is it at 50, like you said? Is that now at 60 or?
I actually don't have the overlay up. Let me switch it on real quick.
Now we do got another question coming. That's why you're looking at that. So Tyler, he commented on YouTube. He said, "Oh, 2 or 3 Twitch comments are not showing on your screen." Oh yeah, we'll take a look at that in a second. That's weird. So Tyler's saying, so currently how it is right now, you can see 4 players, and then you start seeing orbs after, like, if a 5th or 6th player comes in. And then he's got a question. He says, for us to name a planet rendered reality, how far will we have to travel to find a planet that isn't named, and would be a good environment for a colony? So this guy's thinking, this is Tyler from Rendered Reality, I'm thinking. He wants to know, okay, so first of all, he wants to know how far till he gets to the first planet he'll be able to name. How long is it going to take him? And then second of all, does he got to go far distance before he's going to find a good place to kind of settle in a planet where you would want to settle? Does it not matter where you are to settle down, or do you kind of want to travel to a certain point before you start kind of like settling in, if that's even an option? I don't know.
Yeah, it's totally doable. Like the in-game map, like the galaxy map, does let you scan for systems that have already been discovered near you. So you could just easily avoid those systems while you're looking for the ideal candidate. And there are different types of planets that are more rare than others, like the nice flourishing planets or the lush planets. So if you're looking for one of those, you might be looking. I can't say how long for sure, but you might be looking a decent bit before you come across one, or you might get lucky and like find one on your 3rd or 4th system. It's kind of a random chance.
So what's on these planets specifically that make it a good planet? Is it a certain element? Is it a higher level tier loot that would spawn on there that you don't find on other planets? Something like that?
That is partially true, but every planet has its own ecosystem as well, like as far as flora, fauna, weather systems, terrain, even the colors of the sky, the ground,
Wow.
everything is kind of a mixed bag. So you might find a lush planet, but it might be like bright fluorescent pink oceans and super dark blue grass or something like
That's
that.
so
It's
sweet.
kind of it's pretty cool. And if you're looking for like a really specific combination, yeah, you might be looking for a little while, but it's not impossible.
Yeah, and Randolph was saying in chat, a wild Randolph from Twitch, he's saying every time I've started a game, it was on an unclaimed planet. So I don't know if by default, you start off on an unclaimed planet. If that's the case, then those guys can make a rendered reality planet the first time they launch in. But it's kind of like Minecraft. I heard a lot of the Minecraft players that are serious into it, before they really find a server they want to settle in, they'll go through like 10 or 15 servers. They'll fly around. They'll kind of scout it out first, just to see if it's interesting, before you really want to settle down. I imagine you would do something similar to that in No Man's Sky.
Yeah, you can totally do that. You might have to play a bit of the story to get to that point because your ship does start off damaged beyond its flight capabilities. And you do have to progress a little bit before you can actually warp to another system or be able to even craft a warp cell to recharge your drives. But yeah, it doesn't take too long to get to that point. And after that, it becomes fairly easy to just find the resources you need to craft more warp cells.
So you said that you played this game when it first came out,
That's right.
or when it first came out on PC?
When it first came out on PC, I think it
Okay.
was a time exclusive for PS4 for a
Yeah, I
while,
think it was like
wasn't
a
it?
year or something for PS4, and it was one of the reasons to buy a PS4 at the time. There wasn't many great games out, I was working at GameStop at the time. I want to believe there was like Infamous that was out, great game to get for PS4. There wasn't a whole lot, and then this game was on the horizon, and I just remember the trailers were just like insane. Like, walking around the plains with procedurally generated animals, documenting them, naming them, jumping in your spaceship, flying to the moon that's orbiting the planet. Like, you can just do all this stuff so seamlessly. I think that's what the big appeal of this game is, and especially for VR, is going to be so great to. I just wonder, like, there's so much stuff we can get into about how do we think the controls are going to be, the UI. I don't think there's anything in the game you really pick up physically, like in the flat version. I'm talking about for like touch controls wise. Like, I don't think there's much that we're going to be picking up and grabbing. I don't think there's much functionality for that that's going to be translated over or anything like that.
Yeah, that's always kind of a thing that's a little unsure of whenever a game kind of adds VR to a game that didn't originally get developed for VR. It's going to be interesting to see how they implement VR to the full extent. I'm excited to see that.
I'm zoomed in on your guy again. So let's take a look. So this is your ship in the background. Oh wait, Tyler, hold on. He's got a couple questions from YouTube. He's saying, as a noob, I may need a bigger ship. I don't know what he means by that. I don't know if there would be any advantage to that. Maybe for storage wise, maybe just to kind of like hoard stuff.
Yeah, and the nice thing is, like, depending on the type of ship, there's a few different classes of ships. Like, there's a hauler, there's a fighter, explorer class ships, and they all have different kind of max stats, but you can upgrade these ships to their fullest potential. So the ideal ones for if you want to carry around a lot of stuff would be the hauler, obviously.
If you're a hoarder type,
and you can just keep buying expansions to your cargo inventory so you can hold more. And yeah, and the nice thing is they added recently, I think it was like 2 or 3 updates ago, you can now have more than one ship.
Ooh,
so
it was only one
you
before.
can
Wow.
have like up to 5 ships, or no, I think it's up to 6 ships, 5 parked in your freighter and then 1 active ship. So you can kind of summon whichever ship you want at any point. And
is your freighter, quote unquote, like always around you? Like, it always follows you to whatever planet you go to?
Exactly. You do have to summon it. Like, there's a specific button to summon the freighter, but it just kind of pops into wherever you are. Obviously, if you're on a planet, it pops into orbit. But yeah, it's kind of with you in the way that you can basically call it to wherever you are.
Okay. Yeah, hopefully they handle those controls well. Tyler's worried, he says in chat. He said, I'm worried it's still keyboard operated. And it's funny because I got a lot of people from my community that are part of the voice attack community as well. You're part of the voice attack community, aren't you? I do remember, right, Mikaz?
Yeah, I do a little bit of dabbling in voice attack.
So what's great about this for us voice attack users, either we get great controls for the game, which is great for everyone, or we get shitty controls that we can just make a voice attack profile to modify and use with our voice. So it's win-win for us, voice attack guys.
From what I've seen in like previews and stuff, it looks like it's going to use the VR controllers. Now, I'm not sure I'm too into the way they're going to have us control ships, because it seems like they're just having us use the controllers to grab your virtual joystick inside the cockpit and kind of move the control around to move the virtual joystick. So I'm not a big fan of that style, but it'll be interesting to see how they implement it.
I've seen so many variations of vehicle controls in VR. You got the virtual hands-on throttle stick, all that, or there's sometimes where they. Have you ever played War Dust?
I have not.
Yeah, that's like a 32 versus 32 VR game. The way you fly the airplanes, like you're like pointing with your left hand out, and like you just pretend like your left hand's like the nose of the plane. So you're kind of like Supermaning around, and like you twist your arm, and like it's really weird, but it kind of works.
Interesting.
But obviously that's not, an ideal solution. And I know a lot of people are probably hoping for HOTAS support and steering wheel support for the land vehicles, submarines. I don't I don't know if they're going to be able to. Is that even something that's in the game now for regular controls for the flat game?
The key bindings are not very robust the way they are right now, so it's a bit of a tricky thing to get it to work with any, non-standard controllers. So I'm
Mm.
hoping they change something about that with this update, because it would be great to use like a HOTAS or something. I've got the Logitech X56. I bought it mainly for Elite Dangerous, but I've been
Mm.
wishing I could use it in No Man's Sky. Even before VR came out, like it would have been awesome to be able to use that just to fly my ship in screen mode.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely gonna have like at least like a chair setup where I'm on the ground. I'm gonna be walking around in VR because I stream obviously, so people will be watching me. And I'll have a chair, so I'll sit down in the chair when I go to sit in my ship. And I think that should be good enough. Just I don't know how the heck we're gonna control the ship. I don't know if it's gonna be thumbstick controlled or a virtual steering wheel in front of us that we're gonna kind of steer around. It's gonna be very interesting. That's what I think this game is. People aren't really kind of thinking about the details of how the mechanics are going to work, how the UI is going to work. Because I know from when I played it on PS4, the game had a lot of UI, like for navigating your inventory and doing all that kind of stuff. So I'm really curious on what your thoughts are. How do you think they're going to handle it? Is it going to be similar to a Skyrim where it was kind of crappy and just like a slapped on UI that you navigated, or is it going to be more like a Contractors where it's strapped to your arm kind of UI? I'm hoping that's what they're going for.
Well, I've never disliked their UI. It's very contextual, so I think it'll work with VR even if they don't change it much.
Mm-hmm.
Like everything revolves around like pointing your mouse at a specific tile or something that represents like an inventory item, and then you get contextual buttons to press to do something with that particular item. So I think it would work relatively well with VR, considering you can just point your controller at whatever you want, pull the trigger, drag it around, or whatever. It seems like it would work well in that sense.
Is there any kind of levitation mechanic in this where you can use like telekinesis built into the game already?
Um,
Because that's always great for VR, especially if you've ever played Blade and Sorcery. You can just grab items and pull them towards you.
yeah, there isn't really uh, grabbing items yet. I'm not
But
really
things kind
sure
of
how they're
float
going to
towards you,
handle
right?
that.
When you harvest stuff, you got to be close
Yeah,
to
they
it.
just that's just more of an animation that just plays when something gets put in your inventory. But there's no interaction button that you need to press to make something go into your inventory, unless it's something you do have to harvest. So you just hold the E button, harvest a plant, and it just goes into your inventory.
Have you ever played the Forest in VR?
I have not, no.
You know of the game though, right?
I do, yeah. It's kind of like a horror
Yeah.
thing.
No, because
Not
Tyler
really
and
my thing.
yeah, Tyler from YouTube was asking. He's thinking that the UI might kind of be like the UI from the Forest VR. I played it the other day for the first time in the Forest, and I refunded it. That was a rough one for me. I had such high hopes for it too. I made the coolest thumbnail. I'm like, oh, it's gonna get into the Forest tonight. It was a Blade and Sorcery mixed with a Forest multi-stream, and then Blade and Sorcery just stole the show by far. I shouldn't have played that one first. If I would have went to the Forest and then Blade and Sorcery, I think I would have been fine. But you can't go from Blade and Sorcery with its amazing VR controls to the other one there. All right, we got a couple more questions
Might
here
have
in
to pick
chat.
that one up. It sounds really good.
Which game? Oh, it's great, Blade and Sorcery. Yeah, no, it's there's some issues, and it's really just an arena, so you're paying $20 kind of just for an arena. But honestly, the controls, I mean, it just needs to be standard in every VR game. You're seeing a lot of those games go towards it. There's like a new sword game that just came out the other day. VR Oasis Mike, it was just on his channel. The game's leaving early access in a couple of weeks here, but it's another one of the sword games where there's actual physics where the swords rub against each other, and I mean that's just what we need in VR. We need more tactile stuff. Rendered Reality in chat saying the Force is pretty good once you get into it. Blade and Sorcery is really good though. Haven't played it in a while. Yeah, they've done some updates. It's crazy though, because you get the magic menu in there. There's 4 slots for magic, but you only get the lightning right now. So there's room for them to upgrade. There's a lot of mods too. You can get like the Buster Sword from Final Fantasy VII, Gunblade from Final Fantasy VIII. I mean, I'm just naming Final Fantasy weapons, but there's other things. There's the Infinity Gauntlet and all kinds of stuff. All right, so far this stream's going good, guys. Yeah, thanks for stopping by and checking out the Steve XM show, and thanks again to Makaz for doing this.
Yeah,
There's a
no
lot of
problem.
people out there. There's a lot of people I know too that are watching now that are huge fans of this game, but they just don't know much about it, and they're just waiting for this VR expansion to come out. And hopefully they'll have some more questions for us. I have like 20 questions that we haven't even got to yet, so I got those for backup in case. But if you guys got any more
All
questions
right.
specifically, throw them out there. You probably got some of the similar ones I have. Hey, what's up, FemFox fan? Welcome to the show. But yeah, no, thanks again for doing it. So that's great. And your channel's pretty cool too there. So guys, check out his channel. He recently came out with a good video. I like that Minecraft water bug video that you came out with. Did they ever fix that yet? The Vivecraft?
I don't think so yet, but I was thinking about that just the other day, and I have a suggestion I might throw their way about an alternative workaround to that. Because I think the thing they're worried about with that particular bug is that the sudden change in perspective might make some VR players disoriented.
Oh, I see what
But
you're saying. Yeah, it's like a quick jump.
I thought about an alternative to that, where instead of moving the VR perspective, just move the player position instead to match where your head would normally be, even while the swimming mechanic is engaged. But yeah, that's a whole nother story.
Oh yeah, no, but yeah, that's one of the, that's like a really good video you put together on your YouTube channel. I was impressed when it came out, that one. I think it's the only one I've watched on there, but it was well done. There was voiced over it. It was trying to solve a problem that's in the VR community. It's like, hey, developers, right now, for those that don't know what we're talking about, there's Vivecraft, Minecraft in VR, and there's this awesome expansion they did that involved going underwater and searching around under sunken ships for treasures and these certain kind of loots you can only find down there. But unfortunately, it was kind of semi-broken with the way that the VR was implemented. And Macaz Gaming, on the link that I just posted in chat, he pretty much came up with a solution for it and told the developers, hey, you guys should fix this. I mean, it's an amazing game, but there's some issues here. So, and I'm sure we'll see that with the No Man's Sky community. We'll get some. That's what I'm worried about, And I do plan on Wednesday night. The game comes out. That's a week from today, guys. So I do plan on doing a stream, and I would be happy as well to play with you and anyone else that wants to start a game from scratch. I think that's the way to do it. Are you going to start a game from scratch in VR? Or are you just going to continue?
I might actually. I kind of do want to experience the whole game over again in just VR. Like the save I've been playing right now, like up until now, I've already got like over 100 hours in this save alone. So
Wow.
I think it's probably time to start a new one. And I think experiencing everything from scratch in VR would be the perfect way to do that.
It brings up a good question too that I just thought about. How is, if people are scaled differently, if someone's been playing the game for 2 years and you go to play with us noobs that are just joining in VR, is it going to be not fun to play with that person because they're going to be overpowered, they're going to be one-shotting creatures, their spaceships are going to be faster, or is there some kind of scaling that will bring them down to our level? How does that work?
To be honest, I think the game has a way of kind of balancing itself out, because I've never felt overpowered even with all the upgrades I've gotten. Like I've always been able to handle whatever situations come my way, but it's never been overly easy just because I've put this much time in. So it seems to balance out either way. I'm not sure it's going to be a big issue.
All right, I hope so, because there's a lot of people that are going to be veterans. They're going to want to play with all these new players. Hopefully there's a big influx of players. I mean, regardless if you got VR or not, I mean, this seems like a pretty good expansion and pick the game up. Anyways, we do got another question coming at us from Tyler again from YouTube. He said, in No Man's Sky, is it tough to join up with friends and keeping up with each other once in game? That's a great question. There's like kind of like any rubber banding or anything to keep you guys close, or do you guys got to monitor your speed? This brings up a side question I have. Are there ships that have 2 pilots? Can you have passengers? Can you fly with your buddies? Is that a thing, or?
No, the ships are just one person ships. All of them.
They need to update that.
And park on your buddy's freighter though. Although you are only allowed to have 1 freighter per system. But to answer the original question, there isn't any kind of there's nothing keeping you together. Like you and your buddy can go off into totally different systems if you want, while still being technically in the same multiplayer session. So
oh wow, voice chat and everything.
Those issues.
Does voice chat carry across? Is that like location based in the game, the in-game voice chat, or do you normally voice chat with people like Discord anyways?
Normally, you can use the in-game voice chat. It seems to work depending on the situation. Like back when they had the community goals running, this was something they had running for a few months, not too long ago. And the community goals would bring a whole bunch of players together on one specific planet, and the voice chat in that mode seemed to be across the entire system, so everybody on the same planet, regardless if they were in the same multiplayer instance, um, could hear each other. And I'm not sure if that was the way they intended it, because it seemed to be a little buggy.
How many players is that? I'm
But
just curious with all those voices going around.
quite a few at some
So
points. Like
more than four than we
it's
thought was
almost
previously the max.
undiscernible sometimes.
That's like a PUBG plane lobby when you're jumping off the plane with
Yeah.
99 people screaming. Yeah,
So
that can
I
be a mixed
definitely
bag.
think
Yeah.
that, like, if you're playing specifically with a friend, it's probably better to use something like Discord. Although, if you're doing that, you're probably only going to be like the only 2 or 3 or 4 people in that particular system, anyways. So it probably wouldn't matter much.
Okay. Yeah, we got Randolph from Twitch saying, "I'm gonna start a new game for the big update and enjoy the day one bugs." Yeah, some of that could be fun. I've had some pretty crazy bugs, especially in VR. I can imagine like falling to the center of the planet or something like that, just clipping through the ground and just like seeing everything. He says adding passenger seats to vehicles would be awesome. Yeah, I agree. Even if it's like a doom buggy, I mean, just trolling around a planet with your buddy. I mean, now that kind of brings up a point. Like, what is the point of playing co-op in this game? Is it just because I know when I played it was kind of just like Minecraft. It was like gathering resources, making better equipment, and then kind of just traveling. What's the advantage of working with multiple people? Because I mean, you technically got double the people that can gather resources, but you also have double the people to use the resources. So how is that inventory shared? Is it, you know what I mean? You both get the stuff that you're harvesting off the ground in that?
Yeah, not quite. The person doing the harvesting gets whatever they're harvesting. However, there's like common like machines, refineries, and all that kind of stuff that you can use in the base, that you will see the same inventory for. So if you place something in a refinery, your friend will see that item in the refinery, and they'll be able to take whatever comes out of that if they choose to. So there is kind of a co-op aspect to gathering resources, and it is kind of like Minecraft, where you're kind of working together to build up your base, or explore a planet and discover all the plants or animals that live on that planet, because that's another thing that you can do to
That's
earn
crazy.
the money in the game, is just discovering things, which is pretty cool.
Do you think there's an achievement for discovering every animal on a planet? Is that even possible? How randomly generated are these planets? Are you going to see like 6 or 8 of the same animal kind of, or 6 or 8 of the different animal kind of reappearing, or is it more like hundreds when you're on a planet?
Yeah, each planet kind of has a procedurally generated set of plants and animals. um, but it is possible to discover like all the specific um,
Flora,
plants and animals
fauna.
on a given planet. So, and you do get a credit bonus if you do that. So I
Oh,
don't know about
really?
achievements, but you
That's
do
cool.
get bonus credits for discovering
So
everything.
that'd be for more of like the explorer type of player that was looking, he'd rather just kind of look around, scan things. You don't really have to
Hmm.
be into combat, but you can still get money by doing it that way. Kind of like the
Right.
explorer in Elite Dangerous, where you're kind of just scouting around.
Yeah.
That's cool. All right, we got another good question here coming from Tyler. Hey, Tyler and Randolph and everyone else, thanks for the questions. These are great questions. Tyler wants to know, is there a max depth your laser can go underground? So I have used a laser before, and it's great for getting to some like rare resources. You can kind of dig your way through mountains. How far can you go down with that? Is there a point that where you hit like bedrock, kind of like in Minecraft, or?
There is, yes, and I'm not entirely sure if it's the same depth. I think it kind of depends on the actual terrain, like
Hmm.
the layout of the terrain. Seems to be that you can only go down a certain distance from where you started. Like the
Is there
bedrock
like a
kind of
sea level?
follows the same shape as the terrain.
Okay. So do you think that there's like a is there a Metroidvania aspect to this game where eventually you get a better laser gun that can dig deeper and then you get minerals that were otherwise impossible or really hard to find before you had the upgraded laser? Is there something like
There
that to
are
the game?
certain upgrades that you have to find or craft to be able to mine certain resources or just some resources more effectively. So,
Hmm.
kind of.
Okay.
I mean, the main draw to upgrading your multi-tool would be if it has better stats than your old one, and those two are procedurally generated. So,
Wow.
um, although it seems to be, when I say everything in the game is procedurally generated, it's been generated, so
Sure.
it's just there waiting to be found.
That's crazy when they
So
flip
you
that
can
switch. What
go
happened?
to, yeah, you can go to some, system that's already been discovered and find the same multi-tool as somebody else, or the same species of plant or animal as somebody else has found on that planet.
Hmm.
So it's all been procedurally generated.
Have
It's
you ever
it's not
discovered
being
something
generated
that
as you play.
Have you ever discovered something that someone else has already named and found? Does that happen?
Yeah, I've been through quite a few systems that belong to somebody else, and
Hmm.
the nice thing is you can still earn credits just for scanning stuff. So you're not just out of luck if you've found something that's been discovered by somebody
You still get
else.
some points for it the first time that
Yeah.
you scan it.
Hmm.
We got some more good questions here. This is great. Steve, are you aware that there are hundreds of mods for No Man's Sky? They have a section on the Nexus and other dedicated sites. That's interesting that there's mods for multiplayer game. Have you done any of the modding yet with this?
I have tried some mods. Not a whole lot of them really appeal to me. I find a lot of them are just more quality of life tweaks. There are some pretty significant, like graphical overhauls or things that can change the game, but I kind of like the game the way it is, so I haven't
Yeah,
done a whole
I'm
lot of
more of a
modding.
vanilla guy as well. Like I do a lot of modding with Skyrim VR, which I know you're also a fan of.
Hmm.
But that's more like you said, quality of life. I don't do any kind of cheating mods. Just more for visual improvements or gameplay improvements that just make the game better. But
Hmm.
so I agree. But yeah, there's mods out there for the people that want to do it. I don't know if they crack down, if there's any like game breaking mods that there's out there, but I won't mess with
Well, I
those
think
either.
there are some mods that will definitely break like multiplayer, but I mean the game was introduced with mod support, so it's not something that they're going to try and eliminate. It's been built into the game.
And that's going to bring up my next subject I want to get into. I want to answer two or three more of these questions in chat, but the next answer, if I forget, because I'm very forgetful, I wanted to get into what's kind of most important to me about the game, which I know might not be its strongest point, but I want to get into combat and vehicle combat. So we'll get into that next. But first of all, we're going to look at these questions here. So yeah, Tyler was asking, he says, can you build an underground base as well? And then Randolph kind of answered it. He said, yes, they've added underwater bases. So I guess a couple of questions are, we'll just clarify it through the chat here. You can build bases, you can build buildings and structures under, like if you hollowed out a cave, you'd be able to build like a little cool little base down there or something like that.
Yeah, and you don't even necessarily have to hollow it out. When you're placing base parts,
Mm.
it will adapt the terrain around it to
Ooh.
match. It kind of
So you can dig
contours
into
to
the
the base
ground
terrain.
with a basement or something like that.
Yeah, yeah. If you want to just start placing corridors down, it will just hollow out as much space as it needs to fit that corridor.
That's so great for building into a ground because you can conceal your base just to make it look cool. Are there any kind of cool
Hmm.
doors you can put in your bases, hatches that open, or is there only like a couple different doors you
Um,
get?
there's there isn't as much as I would like. Like there's maybe like one or two. Well, there's two or three different types of entrances to the base. There's a kind of a force field door, which is just an open portal with like a blue force field on it. There's an actual door, like a hatch that opens and closes in proximity, and then there's like a
That's cool.
moon pool floor. They introduced that with the
Ooh,
the
like a
water
drop down kind of
updates.
thing.
Yeah,
So it'll drop you into the water. Is that what it does? Like it's
yeah, and I'm
dry up
not
top
sure
and
it
then
has to be placed in the water either, but that's kind of why it was put there.
nice, great. So Wild Randolph, he's saying one of the OP upgrades in the game is increasing the pay for scanning massively so you can play more as an explorer. So there's a way you can increase the amount you get from scanning, it sounds like. Is that a thing?
Right. Yeah. There's a lot of modules that you can upgrade your tool and your inventory and all that kind of stuff with your ships, your rovers. There's so many modular upgrades, and the ones he's talking about are the scan value upgrades,
Hmm.
which you can get from certain vendors in the game. And yeah, they do make it much more profitable to explore and scan stuff.
That sounds to me something like a perk, like you want to get early on. I know anytime I play like Fallout, if you upgrade your intelligence early, or in Skyrim, every time you level up, you get that small little boost.
Right.
The earlier you get that kind of upgrade, the more you reap from it, because that extra 3 experience each time you scan something. If you do that early on, that's going to add up pretty quick. We got
Hmm.
someone new in chat. You ain't seen me, okay? Coming at us from YouTube. He says, will the game, in your view, be finally what VR needs? Have you played it? I'm late here. So none of us have played it yet in VR, unless maybe there's some weirdos out there that played it through Vorpex. Can't imagine that it runs very well, or I can't imagine any game in Vorpex feels all that great. But yeah, no one here has played it yet. But I don't know. I'm hoping that this is. I don't think it's going to be the end all be all of the best VR game, but I do think that it has the potential, at least with its scale, that this game is probably going to be like the #1 VR game as far as dollar for dollar. You look at a game like Skyrim. Yes, Skyrim has got a massive storyline, lots of gameplay, but you're by yourself in there. Spoiler alert: they are working on like a multiplayer Skyrim VR mod, but we won't go into that now. But yeah, no Man's Sky. This seems like if you got a group of buddies, you want to play a space type game. This seems like it's probably going to be a killer app for VR. What do you think, Makez?
I think it's got potential. Like there's already a lot to do in the game, just kind of free play wise. So I'm excited to see how that turns out in VR, because it does have the potential to be a very social game too, especially in VR. Like you're going to be able to wave at people, and they'll be able to see you waving, even if they're not playing in VR. Like even if they're just in screen mode, they will see that you're in VR, and you'll be able to kind of interact with them that way. So it seems like they're really putting some thought into how it's actually going to work in VR, which is nice.
Yeah, that's what it needs. It needs its careful time, attention put to the VR and how it's different. That's why I'm hoping games like Resident Evil 7, we've been waiting for forever on PC VR. I hope the reason that we're waiting for it forever is that they're just implementing like true touch controls. They're not just going to do a port. Yeah, no, you ain't seen me okay. If you got any more questions, please, we're answering questions now live. But we're going to switch over to talking about combat here in a second. Um, a Wild Randolph says there's a lot of press previews. He says, but the VR update is not out until the 14th. I think the VR update, the Beyond update rather, not just for VR, they're adding. So someone posted the in the Discord earlier. Let me see if I can bring this up. It's not just VR. I mean, this update's got a lot more in it as well. So this is on the rendered reality Discord. Let me see if I can show this real quick. So rendered reality Discord. Some of these guys are in chat right now as well. So they posted this from Sean Murray. I guess he's one of the guys that works on the game. He says VR is about 30 to 40% of what we are doing. Online is another 30 or 40%. We are going to be revealing a short video showing a couple more of the details of our online component very soon. So let's be optimistic. Let's say that 30% is VR, 30% is online. We still have a lot more. We still got another 40%, 30 to 40%. That's going to be something we don't even know yet. So I'm excited to see what that is. So. But yeah, that's coming out the 14th, Wednesday.
There was a teaser that just came out the other day. I'm trying to find it here. It's very short.
Let me put that. I'm gonna in the background real quick, guys. This is the video from. You guys are watching this on audio. I have no idea what I'm doing, but this is the trailer from 2014 when the game was first released. So we'll just put that in the background while we're chatting here. But the game has changed so much since then. Ooh, it's loud. Oh, great, I'm probably going to get banned for that now. What were you saying, Makaz?
Oh, just they released a teaser just the other day. I'm just trying to find it.
Yeah, so look at this. You're coming
It's
out
a
of the
very short one.
cave. You're just kind of looking around. You're going to start scanning things. You're going to start harvesting all these materials. You're going to be able to build better equipment. I mean, a lot of the game in the beginning, the planet I landed on, I'm sure every planet's different, but I kept running out of oxygen. I had to harvest plants so I could build more oxygen just to stay alive, just to break down the plants into oxygen. I had to keep going back to my base, and you can see all these animals that we're looking at right now. These are all procedurally generated. So they're random. You're going to see some weird looking things. Dinosaurs, insects. Did you find that yet?
Yeah, I think I found the one.
Do you have the chat? You can post it into the chat real quick. I mean, I'll bring it up on the screen, but I can grab it or post it in the Discord. Oh, here it is. Okay, let me pull this video up. He just posted real quick. Boom,
It's
boom,
a
boom.
very short thing, but there's been a few analyses or analyses.
Oh, sure. This is the reveal. The video he's talking about. Oh, Schmitty was quick. He posted it already. That's all right. We got it here, Schmitty. Let's take a look. I've seen this before, I think. What is this? 3 parks, endless awesome.
That really is nothing like anything we've got in the game right now. So I'm interested to see what that is, and I think that's the other.
Oh, just the quick scene right here that I'm pausing through, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if you got the stream up, but yeah, it looks kind of like a giant, almost like spaceship hangar that you have or something, maybe. This is what it looks like to me. Yeah, this is the new component that they've been talking about a lot.
But they're very spoiler territory, so I'm gonna keep them to myself.
Yeah, sorry about that. I was letting the cat out of the bedroom. It's getting hot in here. Yeah, thanks again for doing this. I don't know how much time you have left, but it's going well. So we still got a bunch of content to get to if you're available for a little bit longer. But
yeah, I'm good.
All right, cool. Yeah, let's jump into combat because this is probably. I mean, for me, exploration games are fine. They're fun, but I don't know. I have that like trigger finger. Like if the combat in this game is not great, I'm not gonna say it's gonna be a deal breaker for me, but I want to know that there's gonna be some kind of spaceship battles. I was a big fan of Rogue Squadron back in the day. I'm sure you played that. All those games on the GameCube. I'm a huge, spaceship fighter guy. Elite Dangerous, unfortunately. I mean, I played it for 4 or 5 hours. I've only ever gotten in 1 or 2 combat things. It's kind of infrequent unless I guess you're searching out for it. But in this game, I guess we'll start with space combat. Can you search that kind of stuff out? Are we going to be able to get into space battles when we want? How epic are they? All that kind of stuff.
Yeah, there's actually a feature of the galaxy map that lets you filter the systems around you by economy type or war state and stuff like that. So you can look for combat if that's what you want to find. And then even just on any of the planets, there's ways to engage in combat with I don't want to spoil
right?
anything.
I've seen this. We've all seen the
Sentinels.
Yeah, we've seen those. Those are in the trailers. Those are those robot-looking things. It's definitely part of the storyline, but
of No Man's Sky, they escalate depending on your notoriety or whatever they call it in this game.
Yeah, kind of like a reputation type thing.
Yeah, like the stars in Grand Theft Auto, You do more bad things, you get more stars, there's more cops come after you.
That's another game. That just reminds me of games that have been out for years that keep doing these free updates that are amazing. Grand Theft Auto right now, I haven't played it since like Xbox, but they just came out like this amazing like casino update and it's all free and it's like they just keeping these games live with these updates. It's really cool to see that you see these games that are 4 or 5 years old and they're definitely doing some stuff. We do got a new question here though. This kind of involves combat now that we're on the subject of combat here, guys. Tyler's asking, do you have to protect your base from looters or weather, etc.? I will expand upon his question and say, yeah, are there any kind of like creatures that could come up and attack your base, or is it your base is pretty much safe? Is that kind of how
At the moment, no. The base is totally safe on the inside. Like there's nothing can really damage your base or anything inside of it. Nobody can really take your stuff. If they're not in your multiplayer session, they might see your base if it's available online. Like if it's been uploaded as a base that others can find. But all the resources at your base will just be unique to them, so they can take the resources if they find your copy of the base, but they won't be taking your resources, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, this is my only fear about this game, which I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing, but I feel like it's not really going to be, it's not really player versus player focused. I think it's more of co-op. You know what I mean? Am I right
Yeah,
about assuming that? It's more of, you're not going to run into a bunch of random guys flying their spaceships around and blow them up and steal their loot. It's more about just exploring the galaxy with your buddies and kind of helping each other out. That's kind of what it's going to be.
yeah, for the moment, that's basically how it is. I mean, you can do PvP, but again, there's the odds of finding somebody just randomly without actually having joined a multiplayer session is pretty low. And even then, I'm pretty sure at the moment, if you do come across another player but they're not in your session, I'm pretty sure they just appear as an orb still. So
okay. All right. That clears things up though. But maybe
but that's
eventually they'll
hopefully going
add
to
some
change with
multiplayer
this
mode.
update.
Yeah. Because I could picture this game. I mean, to me, graphically at least, and visually, it kind of resembles Destiny a little bit. Like I could picture almost like you bring your upgrades, you bring your weapons, and then you travel to a combat planet. You can do space battles in the atmosphere. You can land, and then you guys can battle for territories. That they could add something that later with all your unique loot. I mean, Destiny just does such a great job of a PvP FPS. Of course, I haven't played really since Destiny 1, but that's what I would be hoping for with something like this eventually. But I mean, maybe you'll see that in No Man's Sky 2 or something like that, Is there currently any form of PvP at all that you can seek out? Or is it just if you randomly run across someone, like you said, though, they're orbs, so you can't even fight them?
Yeah, I mean they'd have to be in your multiplayer session already for that to happen, and if they are, I mean, you do have the option to join random sessions. If you're you're at the main menu, you can choose to just look for a random multiplayer session and join it, and then you can, in theory, go and attack whoever you've joined, but it's usually frowned upon.
Okay, so it's more of like, let's play co-op, but you can deal damage to each other. It's an option.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's no friendly fire, I guess, by default, probably, is how it's set up.
No, I mean, like, even if you do shoot your friends in your session, they will get damaged.
Okay, yeah, no friendly fire. All right, we do got another question coming from Tyler from YouTube. What's the best gameplay mode? So I didn't even know that there's multiples. He's asking survival or forever dead, etc. So I guess there's multiple game modes you can choose to play.
Yeah, there's survival, there's hardcore, which is basically if you die, you're done. That save is done.
I love that on
And then
Subnautica, by
there's
the way.
creative, which basically just lets you explore and build freely. I don't even think you have a health bar in creative mode.
Okay,
Not
like
too sure. I
Minecraft
haven't
then.
really done that much in creative.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of hardcore games. I mean, when you're trying to build a community, it's kind of hard to play hardcore because you're like, oh, Jimmy died. It's like, I guess we're not playing with him no more,
I might have to correct myself there. The hardcore game, I believe, isn't a permadeath mode. It might be, but if it's not, I think you just lose everything when you die. Like your entire inventory just goes away when you die. So there's no way to recover your items, or you don't just lose some of your items like in normal mode. I'm pretty sure it's either permadeath or all of your items that you had on you are gone. Not entirely sure. I haven't actually played that mode.
Well, we'll find out soon enough when we play VR mode. VR, it's just so weird, like how they're adding that on, because it's a game that wasn't made for VR, but they're just tacking out. I remember when I first played it too, it kind of felt like it'd be a great VR game, because when you're in the game, I don't know if it's by default, but the sensitivity of the controls are kind of low. So you kind of feel like you're embodying really in the helmet pretty well, just from the flat version of the game. Of course, I was playing on a console, so I feel like it would transfer well over to VR. It's going to be great just holding your weapons out in front of you and looking at them and stuff. But yeah, so as far as combat goes, then we pretty much talked about all of it, but it sounds like it's pretty much for the most part going to be player versus enemy. How is that combat feel when you start getting these sentinels coming after you? Are they dangerous? Are they really easy to kill? Is the AI crap? And then again with space battles, I mean, are you getting into epic battles, or is it usually just shoot a couple ships and then that's pretty much it?
It depends on the scenario. Like sometimes you'll find a freighter that's under attack, so the freighter will be attacking the enemy ships along with other fighters attacking the enemy ships. So it's not too difficult in that sort of scenario. But
Hmm.
then there's going to be scenarios where like a wing of bounty hunters will be coming after you, and you're outnumbered 3 or 4 to 1. So yeah, it can be challenging. And there's even inventory management involved in that too, because you can quite literally open your inventory mid combat and recharge your shields to full, just as
Wow.
long as you have the resources
In
and
your
the time
ship
to
or
do
on your
it.
person?
Um, Both, I think.
Is there a pause in game, or is there everything live? Like there's no game pause?
I mean, if you open the inventory, everything does keep going around you. I don't think there's like I think if you're in single player, it does pause if you open the pause menu, like the options menu, or if you alt tab out of the game. But in a multiplayer session, there is no pause.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Why would there be a pause? Oh, I got a question I can finally answer. This is awesome. Coming at us from Tyler on YouTube. Do you have to worry about outdoor temperatures? So yeah, you do have to worry about that. I forget if there's like a thermal meter that you have. There's some kind of meter that you have to monitor, and you do have to either use energy to keep your temperature stable. Is that what it is in the game? There's a health bar and there's like a battery bar. How does that work?
Yeah, there's a life support bar. So
Life support.
there's
Okay.
different layers to this, because you can upgrade your suit with different types of protection, but you always have a basic protection, like a basic life support energy bar, which once your other elemental protections
Runs
get
out.
depleted, your life support bar will go down quite quickly if you're in hazardous environments or whatever.
So even with the most basic of suits, you could theoretically live a couple of seconds in any environment. The life support system will keep you alive for a brief moment,
Yeah,
but obviously
yeah,
the more extreme
and
environments, it's going to run out faster. You want to know if you're going on a cold planet or if you're going on a lava based planet. You're going to have to switch your armor, or is there just pretty much you just upgrade your armor and then you never use previous versions of it? Is that kind of how it works?
well, the armor itself is kind of just your armor, but everything about it is modular, so you can get certain upgrades for it, which you can install. And typically, you don't. I mean, unless you've got a better version of the upgrade, you don't usually remove an upgrade just because you don't need it anymore. Because once you remove it, it's gone. Like you salvage it, so
Mm-hmm.
it turns into something minor instead of actually salvaging the upgrade itself. So you do kind of end up building up your suit as you go. And there's different types of hazards that you can choose to protect against, and you can protect against all of them if you want, if you've got space in your suit.
Oh, I see. So you kind of have to choose. You can't just make the best suit for every situation, unless it's like a high level
No,
suit.
you can definitely do that. Like if you upgrade all the slots in your
Hmm.
in your suit, as unlock all the slots, so you have, I think it's, what is it, the max inventory size is 6 by 8 inventory slots, and then you have 3 of those. So you have a general inventory for your suit, you have a cargo inventory, which is like an increased capacity for each particular item that you have there, and then you have a technology inventory, which is smaller. It's only 2 by 7 slots, 14 slots total. But you can place technology in the general inventory and also in the technology inventory. So you can upgrade your suit basically to be the best in every scenario, but it just takes a while.
Take some time. You got to choose what you want to do
Yeah.
first. I mean, obviously, if you're in a solar now, is there solar systems in this? Like,
Yep.
is that kind
Yeah.
of how you travel?
You can fly around inside a system that you've warped to. You can just fly around freely. Obviously, there's a set amount of planets that you can go to in each system. Some have one, some have 8 or 9, some have moons of planets and stuff
Is
like
there a
that.
moon revolving around a moon? Have you ever seen that? I don't even know if
No,
that's
I'm
possible.
pretty
I'm sure it
sure
is.
you can have multiple moons orbiting a planet, but
I don't even know if
I've
that's
never
physically
seen a
possible.
moon orbiting a
That's got to
planet.
be possible. Yeah, it's got to be possible. I just recently got into Kerbal Space Program. I don't know if you've ever heard of that game or played it, but you learn a lot
Yeah,
about
I've seen
orbiting
some
and
of it.
stuff like that. Yeah, it's really fascinating. I love that
It's
game.
actual rocket science.
Yeah, I actually took propulsion too in college, which is interesting, and
Nice.
aerodynamics. I mean, it's a low level, but I feel like oh, I know what I'm doing. I suck at that game, anyways. But we got a couple more questions coming at us from chat. You ain't see me, okay, from YouTube saying, I heard the inventory was like a projection of objects in the VR update. Yeah, I don't know what that means. I guess it would project them out more like a hologram. Tyler from YouTube's asking, what's your best advice for a first-time player for the beginning part of the game? So that's what Tyler's asking.
Honestly, following the early storylines actually gives you a lot of the things that you need starting out.
Just pay
So
attention
follow
to your
the
nav
kind of
markers and all
not
that kind of stuff.
tutorial, but like there's kind of a preliminary story arc that you can follow that basically gives you all the basic recipes you need, like warp cells and launch fuel and all that kind of stuff, as well as some base building parts like the blueprints for building your base and stuff like that. Like everything basically has to be unlocked at some point, but following that kind of preliminary introduction story gives you the fundamentals that you need to get started. So I would just recommend following that until it's not a very long introduction, but it does take you
It'll
across
teach you the
to
basics.
a couple different systems, and it just it gives you all the basics you need to get started.
Yeah, I remember back when I played on PS4. This was a couple months after launch. I think they might have done one update. I don't know how the original game was day one, but I know there was your spaceship was either broken or it was down somewhere on the planet. I think it was nearby, and you had to make your way to it. And without any kind of jet propulsion system, I mean, you literally had to walk there, but you had a plan to survive against the temperature. So I was literally just harvesting materials so I could make my trek across the desert or wherever I was to my ship. That was pretty much the first 2 or 3 hours I played of the game, which was pretty fun. It was really cool just trying to make it to that ship, like walking across the planet. So, but I'm
Yeah,
sure
and
the
that's one of
tutorial
the
will be
things
something
that's
like
kind of
that.
stuck with the game too. Like it's that particular start to the game has seemed to have survived the updates. Like it's still like that now.
Yeah, unfortunately, after that point is where it lost me. I don't know why. I don't know if it was the vehicle controls or once I got my ship, I was like, all right, well, I have a ship now. Now I can just go everywhere. And I don't know if I was overwhelmed, at that point, because I had a goal in mind that I was like, okay, well, I got to get to my ship. But then once you get to the ship, you can literally just like go anywhere. And I was just like, whoa. That's when I stopped playing. But I mean, this was still really early on in the game too. So I'm sure they
Yeah,
got a
they
lot
didn't have
more
much
story in that.
direction early on.
Sure. All right, we had a couple more questions here. Let's see what's going on in the chat. A Wild Randolph saying, at Tyler, if you start on a planet where you die in 2 minutes before you know how to upgrade your suit, restart. Oh, okay, I see what he's saying. So he's pretty much saying if you start on a really challenging planet, maybe just restart and you'll get spawned to an easier planet. I think that's what he's trying to say.
Yeah, that's
Or
that is
possibly an easier
possible
planet.
to do. Yeah, you can kind of keep re-rolling your start until you get if you're looking for an easier start, that's the way to do it.
Oh, Tyler's got a bunch of questions here. These are good. So upgrading your suit is step one, I'm assuming. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's step one, but you do the suit and then you do the spaceship probably next. I definitely think you upgrade the suit right away, don't you? Life support and that, or
Yeah, I mean it depends on what kind of gameplay you want to do too. Like it's if you're spending most of your time on planets in hostile environments, yeah, you definitely want to update your suit first. But if you're planning on doing like space combat and trading and all that kind of stuff, then you definitely want to look at upgrading your ship sooner than later because you kind of start out with limited everything, so you do kind of have to pick which direction you want to focus on.
gotcha. Tyler is saying, oh, this is talking about Kerbal Space Program. He says, Steve, you guys should check out Balsa for VR. Never heard of it. They went silent but the guy worked on Kerbal Space Program, same game recipe. So it's kind of like a Kerbal Space Program in VR. Balsa, I'll have to check that one out. Tyler's asking, can you start the game minute 1 and join up with someone? Or is it locked until the first part of the story is played? So he's pretty much asking, can I just jump in, join up with my buddy, we'll both start from 1 minute in and we'll play the game together? Or is there some kind of, minimum spot you got to get to before you can start warping to each other?
I haven't tested that too thoroughly. I know I've joined a friend who was literally just starting out. I'm not too sure how that would work with 2 people who are starting out. I'm not sure if they would each get their own start, or if basically you'd just be helping the one person start out.
Okay.
So I'm not 100% sure on that one.
Yeah, there's so much stuff with this game that it's very vague. It's not like a game we're all used to playing. It's procedurally generated. It's random stuff.
And most of my playthrough has been solo, so there's a lot of multiplayer aspects that I'm actually not too familiar on. So it'll be interesting to actually have a community to try that out with once the VR update comes.
Yeah, us VR guys, I mean, it's known in the community. It's like we're just very social. We like to play with other people, and once you're in VR with other people, I know you've experienced it too. Playing online with people in VR is just so much different. Just seeing them, moving around, talking to them, hearing their voice to your right of you. You look over and you see them right there. Like, it's just so much more immersive doing multiplayer in VR compared to flat gaming. We got a couple more questions here, and then we'll start wrapping this show up here. So by the time you do that, your inventory will be full and you'll want better anything. Oh, Randolph was talking about upgrading your ship. Okay, so we'll take a look. I got a couple of questions wrote down here. I didn't even start looking at my questions yet, so that's good. The chat's been helping us out here. Actually, before we do anything, I wanted to take a quick look. So I got your loop video that you sent me here set up. Is there anything in this video that, hopefully it's all spoiler free, but is there anything in here you want to go over? I see a little robot floating around near you. I don't know if that's an inhabitant of the planet, or is that one of your little drones that you put out there?
One of the on my shoulder there?
No, he's just floating around. He just went by. He'll probably come back on the loop here in a minute.
That's one of the Sentinels.
Okay, so he's just kind of checking things out. If you don't attack him, he won't attack you, kind of thing, or?
Yeah, that depends on the planet you're on.
I see spaceships flying by. This is sick in the sky.
Yeah, I have landing pads on my base, so there will actually be other NPCs come and land at your base. Just kind of to make things feel a bit more alive, I guess. But
okay.
But yeah, that's one of the Sentinels that float by there. And the planet I'm on, they are docile, I guess you could say. They will attack you if you do something that they don't like. Yeah. So they are kind of in a cautious state most of the time. But you can get planets where there's no Sentinels. You can get planets where the Sentinels are passive. You can get planets where the Sentinels will attack you on sight. So
and I'm sure there's
on where you've landed.
I guess we should get into this real quick, and then I want to go over everything that I see in the scene. But I know if I don't go over this now, I'll forget it. How is the end game in this? Is there? I know there's a certain point till you get to the end of the game. No spoilers, obviously. But does this game kind of have something that'll keep you back? I know I played games like From Other Suns. What's the other game? There's other roguelike games that are like that. Like once you get to the end, you kind of just you can start anew, but with more loot. Is the end game in this game fulfilling, or is it kind of boring once you've gotten to the end point? I mean, obviously you put in 500 plus hours into it, so I kind of already know the answer you're going to say.
Yeah, it really depends, like what you want out of the game. Like there is an end game, and
we're losing you, Macaz. We lost Macaz. We'll wait for him to rejoin here. We'll take a quick look around his base. Yeah, look at that ship flying up there. That's pretty cool. We can zoom in here and take a look at him. I was going to ask him some questions about his suit and that next. He was censored for spoilers. Are you back, Macaz?
It's more than actual end game.
Are you back? There you go. You cut out for a minute. That's fine. We got you back. Yeah, no, I guess it's probably better not to talk about endgame anyways. You know, you just got censored for talking about endgame. That's what just happened. That's what Randolph said in
Yeah,
chat.
it was
Or maybe
perfect
it's for the
timing there.
best. Maybe it's for the best. We won't go. We won't go that far. But
Well,
we'll take a quick
I'll
look.
just say
Oh,
this:
go ahead. Go ahead.
the end game is more of an experience than an a gameplay kind of thing.
Okay. Okay. That'll be cool to experience in VR then.
Yeah.
So I'm zoomed in on your character here now. What is there anything unique about this guy? I mean, what the heck is he? He looks like a freaking. Now, for those that are listening to this on an audio version, if there is one, it's got a beak, but it looks like a fish and a lizard. And I mean, honestly, he's pretty gross. What is this thing? Is this? Did you choose to
That's a
make this
Gek.
thing? That's a Gek. Okay.
So the Gek are one of the 3 NPC races. Well, I guess technically there's 4, but one of them is just referred to as the Travelers, and you start off as a traveler. Essentially, the 3 actual like forces in the galaxy are the Gek, which is what my character is. There's the Vy'keen, and there are the Korvax. So those are the 3 kind of races that you get to choose from.
What do they look like? The Gek looks like a lizard type thing.
Yeah, they kind of look more or less all like this. There's different features that you can choose if you're customizing your own character.
Is there human type character?
Yes, that sort of. There's the Traveler, which is basically they don't really have a specific shape to them. You can choose a more like humanoid shape, but not all of them have like a face. It's kind of hard to describe them. They're a bit all over the place.
So there'll be
So
a
yeah,
player
it's
creation
possible to
screen when
make
we
something.
start our game. That'll be like one of the first things we see, I'm sure.
Nope.
Oh, really?
You actually have to make it to a station to customize your character. So you start off as like just a basic traveler, and then you can basically customize everything as you go.
Yeah, that's
I
a
could
strange
even
thing
go
for
to a station
VR.
right now and change my race completely.
That's a strange thing for VR, and I came up with this concept the other day when I was out mowing my lawn and stuff and just chilling about. But the idea would be for VR, I think they need to adapt a universal avatar system that would work platform to platform, game to game, and they need to incorporate some kind of mirror in the game early on. Like I feel like you need to be able to see yourself. Like when you play a game like Blade and Sorcery, the first thing they do they launch you when the game loads in front of a mirror. Then you see your avatar there, you see yourself. You can grab your swords on your hips, and it's just so immersive to see yourself right from the beginning. I think it's definitely something that a lot more VR games need to look at and try to figure a way to, get you into your player's skin a bit more, because it's tough, just seeing your hands in that. And just something I think about. All right, so I got a couple more. Oh, here we go. Steve like Wii motes or Xbox avatars, but who would agree on the standard? Yeah, I don't know. It'd be tough, Randolph. In a lot of games, you would want to keep the continuity, so you wouldn't want to be in a Star Wars game, and you wouldn't want to have elf ears. I don't know. There'd be a way to do it. You could at least have your face be in every game. I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there, throwing crazy ideas, random ideas out there. But we'll start wrapping this up. I want to look through my questions and see if there's anything that we haven't gotten to. I'm sure we got into most of it. And are there different classes of spaceship? Yes, we answered that. Some ships that support multiple crew members, we answer that. So pretty much it's just one crew member per ship. Okay, end game, we got to that. Are there any raids, quote unquote? Is there anything that you would really have to need multiple people for? Bases that you go into to raid, or is it more of an outdoor environment in this game?
Yeah, it's definitely more of a kind of survival game.
Do you ever land on
not so
ships or anything like
much.
that? Spaceships?
Yeah, you can land on any freighter that you come across, as long as you're not hostile to them.
Okay, and then you can kind of troll around it in your person form, the freighter.
Yeah. So whenever you land your ship, you can hop out of your ship just seamlessly and start wandering around. So
is there much to see there, or is it mostly trading and stuff like that, like traders, shops?
yeah, it's usually for the purpose of trading. I mean, if you're landing on a freighter specifically, freighters will let other ships land too, and if you just approach any other NPC ship, you can open a trade dialogue with them. You can offer to buy their ship. You can do any number of things.
I'm gonna buy your ship. You're gonna be stuck on this freighter forever. Sorry, buddy. But I'll pay you a lot of money.
No, you will pay them a lot of money too.
Yeah,
Ships
to
aren't
buy a
cheap.
ship outright. All right, so I got a couple more questions here. These are ones I came up with on my own here. Different weapon types, question mark. Different ammo, question mark.
Yes, so the multi-tool is kind of like a vessel for different upgrades and features. So you can upgrade your multi-tool to be any number of weapons or all of them if you want.
Okay.
It's kind of like you're given.
Any scopes, snipers, anything like that?
Yeah. There's a few modules that will let you kind of zoom in, but not quite like a scope. Like it's more of just
A zoom, like
change
like a rectile zoom.
Yeah, it's more like a change in FOV or something like that.
Ooh, we got Tyler coming at us from. Oh wait, we got a couple more comments. Wild Randolph from Twitch saying you hire NPCs to do stuff at your base. You can buy any ship you see. Okay, so you can hire guys to kind of troll around your base as well. I guess they would auto mine or something like that, or they'd be doing something like that.
Yeah, there's certain stations you can set up in your base that actually there are storylines to each of these different professions that you can hire that you follow, and they'll give you blueprints, they'll give you resources, they'll give you missions to go find something valuable. It's good to have them around.
Now, say I got all that set up, right, and then I travel to a different solar system. Can I get those supplies sent to me if I got like a base that's earning resources? Can I get that stuff sent to me, or is your inventory kind of just shared in general?
You don't get things sent to you per se, but you can just go back and revisit your base from anywhere. There's something called a terminus on each every station, which will basically let you teleport to and from other terminals. And if you place one in your base, you can just always teleport to it from almost anywhere in the galaxy as long as there's a station there.
We got Life Genesis joining us from Twitch. He's got a good question. Have you ever taken a dump while in VR? I can answer that first. I'll say no. I can probably actually answer for Makaz. I can probably say
that's
no.
gonna be a no.
Although we could, I have a couple Google Cardboards around the house. I could probably knock that one out of the park tonight, I think. Do you have any of those? Have you ever messed around with those little Google Cardboard headsets you use with your phone?
Yeah, I've tried a couple different versions.
I gotta show the one on screen
a
real
couple
quick.
of them were given out at like show floors or something. Like at I went to the car show once here in Toronto, and the Mercedes booth was giving out these little their own branded version of Google Cardboard, and it was specifically to use in their booth, I guess, but they let everybody keep them. So yeah.
Yeah, no, I got this special. I can't show it right now because my green screen. I had to get my other camera set up. But there's a special Simpsons one. It got sent to me for free. This is really good quality too. It came with like a sleeve and it's got Velcro. Yeah, Google Cardboard can it can do some pretty cool stuff. That was a good question though, Life Genesis. He says, what can we expect in the way of bathroom VR apps? Do you think it will become a problem in public restrooms? I don't see how it would be a problem, Life Genesis. I mean, you're in your own private stall. So, I mean, you strap your VR headset on in there. You just don't want to be walking around the open bathroom with the VR headset on. People are going to think you're recording them or something weird like that, So wait to take it out until you're in the stall. Tyler's got a really good question, though. He says, is it possible to give people on our Discord channel the coordinates to our planet? So he's trying to think of how his friends on his Discord channel are going to meet up with him. Probably through, is there like a friend system built in?
Yeah, so if you invite somebody to your multiplayer session, they will join your location by default. So if they, for example, join your multiplayer session and they build their own base on your planet, they will technically be able to access that base, even if they return to like a solo session or whatever. So they will be able to teleport to that planet that they created a base on, that you've also created a base on. So it kind of works that way. But there are also this kind of goes back to the very first question about people setting up cities and stuff.
Yes,
There
this
are
is from
ways
Tyler
to
as
get
well.
coordinates for planets, and it involves finding a portal
Okay.
and finding the glyphs to use the portal. So there's a little more setup involved, but you can technically make public hubs that anybody can access as long as they have the portal coordinates.
Gotcha. So Tyler's though, he's saying like, what if you're not friends on Steam? Is there another way? Because I guess you could be playing this game. What is it? Only available on Steam? Is the only way to get it through VR right now? I would imagine, right? Or PS4
I'm not
or
100%
Xbox.
sure on
I think it's
the
only through
VR
Steam.
yeah, it might be. I haven't looked into that on other stores. I mean, I mainly use Steam, so I haven't needed to look into that.
Yeah, I think it, because I don't think it's going to be released on the Oculus Store or anything. I think it's currently on Steam. They're going to be updating it.
Probably not.
Who owns this game? I don't know if it was EA or who. It's just some smaller company, I think, right? They've done.
Hello Games, actually.
What else have they done?
Honestly, I don't. I think this is kind of their baby. So.
Yeah. Yeah, guys. Thanks for stopping by the stream tonight. Of course, Life Genesis is asking, is it time to buy No Man's Sky? I would say that it's the perfect time to buy it. There's a link in the description, Life Genesis. Green Man Gaming. I mean, I'm sure there's other places out there you can get it for cheaper. People have said mixed things about Green Man Gaming, but I actually haven't even purchased the game yet. We're having this whole discussion tonight about No Man's Sky. I have not bought it yet. I do plan on purchasing it tomorrow. Hopefully the code's still available and I still get the discount. But yeah, it's like $20 US dollars before taxes for this game. And they've done so much updating. Everything you guys heard us talk about tonight. I mean, we literally talked about the game for an hour and a half. And we haven't even really scratched the surface. But I think we're going to be ending it here soon. So if you guys have any questions, throw them in the chat. We will stay around the stream for another minute or two here, and then we'll answer some last minute questions. Oh, Hello Games did Joe Danger. I'm going to look this up real quick. Well, let me throw my desktop view on real quick.
Another project they're working on the side called The Last Campfire. I'm not too sure what that is, but it kind of sounds cool.
While I'm looking this up, are there any other VR games that are on your radar or things you've been playing recently? Oh, Joe Danger. Okay, yeah, I remember this.
I did actually end up getting Fallout 4 VR, the one that you were playing recently, and I was able to find a few ways to tweak it to make it run a bit better. It's still not great, but it's better. So
I mean, that's the kind of thing you got to do with that game. Like, you got to realize that it's not designed for VR, but I mean, still getting the full Fallout 4 in VR. I mean, it's still a great game. I mean, it's the full game in VR. But yeah, you definitely got to do a lot of tweaking. I mean, out of the box, that game is it's pretty rough.
I do like how they handled the inventories though for VR, for Fallout 4 VR. Like, you just have to point at something and you get instantly like a little inventory menu attached to your hand, which you can scroll through and take things with. And I really liked how they implemented that for VR players. Yeah,
I'm gonna be getting back into because I refunded it because I didn't like it at its current state. I think if it goes back on sale, because I'm kind of limited in funds sometimes, but if it goes back on sale, I'll probably buy it again for like $15 if it goes back on sale, and I'll spend the time to sit there and tweak the mods. But honestly, I need to spend more time with Skyrim because that's another VR game that I've modded like crazy. I spent like 20-30 hours modding it, and I probably got like 5 hours of gameplay in, so I need to get back in there with all my mods and kind of just absorb myself in the world. But that's where we're going to end the show tonight. So yeah, thanks again, Macaz Gaming. His links are in the description to his channel. Check him out. I'm sure you guys will be seeing him around the Discord if you're part of the Discord community. We'll be playing games together, hopefully online. We do a bunch of VR games together, everyone on the Discord. So yeah, definitely stop on by, and we'll be playing some more No Man's Sky. Maybe we'll even have another future No Man's Sky discussion. Hey, FemFox fan, yeah, thanks for watching, and everyone else that joined. I appreciate the Rendered Reality guys that were here, Life Genesis, all you other guys that stopped by tonight. Wild Randolph, I'm scrolling up, I'm seeing some, we got some new people here as well. So if you're new to the channel, Steve XM show, it's kind of a variety show. I do a lot of VR stuff, but we also do programming and other things. And we're going to be doing more podcasts soon. I like this tonight. This is really good. Macaz, I do appreciate it because I was a little nervous about tonight. This is kind of like the first podcast format that I've had in a while, but I don't know. I think it went pretty damn good, if I do say so myself.
Yeah, I think it went pretty good too.
I can't wait to listen back to this tomorrow and tonight. I'll probably start listening to it and see where we can improve. Maybe there's some audio stuff. If you guys got any comments, feedback, leave them in the comments. And if you guys are listening back to this on a rerun, if you guys have any questions, post them in the comments, and we can answer them after the fact as well. So we got. Do we have any more questions here before we end? Thanks, guys. See you on Planet Rendered Reality. Haha. Yeah, so we got to work on that Planet Rendered Reality. Someone should steal that name so he can't have it. Now, can you have two planets named the same thing? Or when someone steals a name, is like that name useless forever?
No, I think you can keep reusing the same name as many times as you
Ooh,
want.
so you can have 30 rendered reality planets. You got to name them 1 through
Probably
a
could.
million. All right, well, hey, thanks again, Makaz Gaming. Is there anything else you want to say before you leave, or anything else you want to talk about? I mean, it's open forum.
No, I think we covered quite a lot. I think I kind of want to just let other people enjoy and explore and figure out stuff as well. Like that's all part of the game as well. So
yeah, you don't want to say too
hopefully you
much
guys
about
have
it. You
fun
know,
when it
that's
comes out.
definitely part of it, is learning what to do. Like, I remember when I first started playing, like, I was just dying. I was like, what the heck's going on? Like, I wasn't keeping track of my life support. I mean, there's a lot of stuff you got to do. It's about learning about what plants have what, you know, elements you got to harvest, and where do you find the certain resource. I mean, it's really about scouting around and exploring. And I think that's what this game does best, and I think VR is going to really shine for it. So let's hope. Cross our fingers.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, hey, Makaz, hopefully we do something together again soon, but thanks again for doing this, and appreciate you guys for stopping by. Don't forget to like, subscribe, all that good stuff, and we'll see you on the next show. This next Wednesday, I do plan on doing No Man's Sky, so if I do buy the game tomorrow, which I will, we will be playing it in a week from now. All right, guys. Catch you on the next show. Peace.